What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome back into the Fantasy Alarm MLB DFS Game Day Playbook Preview Show. We have 11 games to talk about on Friday here, James. We come back from the MLB All-Star break. I hope you all enjoyed your brief relief here from the MLB regular season. You had the Futures game, the Home Run Derby, the All-Star game, then a couple of days reprieve, but we are here. Second half of baseball getting underway. Loaded slate, some pretty good matchups on the board here, so should be a fun one to get back into.
Yeah, 11 games with cores to kick us off. So rotations reset, a lot of top arms for teams going. So should be a fun one overall.
Yeah, we do have Coors Field on this main slate. It is the Giants in Coors, so not necessarily like an exciting offensive team necessarily to be stacking in Coors. We'll have like some plays, obviously, though, as we go position by position. No pitcher over $10,000 here on this Friday kickoff slate. Jack Flaherty against Toronto, 95. Sonny Gray in Atlanta at 92. The All-Star American League starter, Corbin Burns, $9,100 there. And Garrett Cole at $9K home against the Rays. Where are you looking to kick things off here?
So, I mean, I don't know what the ceiling is going to be with Jack Flaherty with strikeouts. Toronto doesn't really strike out a lot, but he's obviously been really good. Doesn't really pitch deep into games. 9,500 just feels a little excessive. I like Sonny Gray here. That's not something that I've said a lot. I do like the 102 pitches going into the break. And you know that I've been targeting Atlanta against right-handed pitching for quite some time. And it's been a profitable approach. They just haven't been a very good offense against right-handed pitching this year. Going into the All-Star break in terms of OPS, they were 20th. And that's including the stats with Ronald Acuna. Ronald Acuna left like May 30th. And after that, it was even worse. Still a 24% strikeout rate against right-handed pitching. So I think there's a ceiling with Sonny Gray at 9,200. Obviously, the ballpark. We'll see if there's rain. It's the summer in Atlanta, so there's always a chance of rain. We also see it on the DraftKings icon there.
Yeah.
Corbin Burns, it went into the All-Star break a little shaky. Hadn't looked great. No like monster performances of late. Just super steady. Pretty good matchup. Texas's bats, though, kind of woke up before the break.
Yeah.
Feels to me
like.
Where
did the strikeouts go with Corbin Burns? Like, I know he's like strikeout wise 110 and 118. Like, I feel like I remember him being a much bigger strikeout pitcher during his Cy Young year and things like that with Milwaukee. Now more like a 9K per 9, like in that range. Like, to me, that is. Yeah, there's a reason he's not over 10K is 9,100, but I feel like I want a little bit more punch there. And now again, faced Texas 7 innings, 9 hits a lot in that game. Got away with it with just 1 run being the home run that he allowed there. 22 fantasy points and an 11-2 win. I'm a little worried about Corbin Burns despite the elite numbers here.
Agreed. And I think like if you want to talk about strikeouts, you could talk about the guy right below him instead, where I think that's where a lot of people reside. Obviously, like Garrett Cole has not been Garrett Cole. He was the most like Garrett Cole in his last start against Baltimore, where he threw 6 really, really good innings against Baltimore with 7 strikeouts. And what do we talk about Tampa Bay? Like they're good against left-handed pitching. They're not good against right-handed pitching, and they strike out a bunch. So I think a lot of that, plus the $9,000 price tag, if you're going to get any version of Garrett Cole as good as it was in that final start, I think he's one of the higher-owned pitchers of the slate. And I would probably rank him first amongst the 9K tier. And then probably Sonny Gray, Burns, Flaherty. That would probably be the 4 for me.
Yeah, obviously, again, Garrett Cole was, still had 8 strikeouts against Boston, 4 1/3 innings. It was just that, Rafi Devers at bat that kind of got to him and ended up pushing him from that game. Now, 90 pitches in 4 1/3 innings is not efficient by any stretch of the imagination there. But, Toronto team that doesn't strike out, 6 strikeouts. Boston, that's now all of a sudden a top 4 offense in baseball against right-handed pitching, relatively okay against them, and then shuts down a really good Baltimore lineup. So I'm kind of with you there as we start to see, maybe the Garrett Cole of old that you get some good value at 9K. On your Atlanta Braves point here, Sonny Gray, over the last 30 days, second to last in WOBA against right-handed pitching. That's 281. Isolated number 23rd in baseball and isolated power at 148. Their batting average against right-handed pitching during that stretch there, 28th at 220. Strikeout rate for Atlanta, third highest, 25.9% over the last month. So hopefully Sonny Gray with the rest, they'll let him go deep in the games, because that has obviously been a concern for us this season. Obviously, some of these poor starts, the pitch count wasn't where they wanted to be, but he's had some really good starts. 80 pitches, 7 innings, 1 hit, a lot against San Francisco, and they took him out. Like, that should have been a complete game, in that one. And that's kind of been a trend here. And then you get the random 102 pitches. You're like, you can't.
Where has this been?
Okay, why now? Why
9 hits
now?
in that 9 hits in that game. They were like, nah, you got this, dude.
Yeah, he's only gone over 90 like a couple of times this year. He goes for 102. So I'm with you there. I like Cole and Gray for the top 2. Not really in on Burns or Flaherty. Going under the 9K range, we have Pivetta against the Dodgers, Bybee against the Padres, Waldron against the Guardians. Hunter Brown gets Seattle. We'll talk about that matchup, obviously. Michael Wacha against the White Sox. Luis Castillo at home against Houston. Chris Bassett, 81 against Detroit. And Logan Webb in Coors at 8K.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you have strikeout appeal with Pivetta, but it's just hard to pay $8,800 for him when Hunter Brown exists in the world here. Because, I like Pavetta's strikeout upside. I like Bybee. The pitcher, Waldron, against Cleveland. He's been bad against lefties, and Cleveland has a lot of them to throw at him. Mm-hmm. It's just hard to ignore how good of a pitcher's park Seattle is, how big of a strikeout rate they have. And you pair that with, outside of one bad start since May, against Minnesota, and we know how good Minnesota has been.
They let him go 6 innings in that game too.
I know.
It could have been way worse than what it was.
12 hits. They just said, we need depth in this game.
We need innings eaten here. Go out there, Hunter Brown. You got a young arm. I'll go with this. All those numbers I just gave you for Atlanta. Seattle's been worse against right-handed pitching over the last month. Strikeout rate, highest in baseball over the last 30 days against right-handed pitching, 32.1%. The next highest, Oakland at 26. So, a 6% increase in strikeout rate from 1 to 2 there for Seattle. 281 WOBA against right-handed pitching, again, is tied with Atlanta for second worst in baseball. Isolated power, Seattle's 25th there at 145, and their batting average is dead last against right-handed pitching over the last month. Just 200 average against right-handed pitching over the last 30 days here. So, again, take that sample size as you will. We know all season long we've been attacking them with right-handed pitching, and right now they're about as bad as you can be in baseball against right-handed pitching with a guy that was as hot on the mound as you could be for a stretch there until that Minnesota start there. So I'm with you there. Also 2 starts this season against Seattle. No record, but 14 strikeouts and 10 1/3 innings there. Looking pretty good, averaging 18 fantasy points. I mentioned Castillo at home because that's who's going up against him. Castillo at home has been really good this year, under 3 ERA. This is sort of starting to be the trend with him over the last couple of years, much better in Seattle. So, does that take the win equity potential for Hunter Brown and throw it in a little bit of question? Sure. But as you saw, 18 fantasy points with no decisions involved. I think this could be a pretty interesting spot where you could, likely pitch both guys, but I would lean Brown over Castillo just given the offenses that they're facing.
Yeah, I lean Brown over Castillo too, but I agree on the Castillo front. And you know what? Maybe some positive signs. 6 scoreless on the road in his final start. And 6 2/3 of 1-run baseball before that at home. So pitching really well going into the break. And 8,200 is just too cheap for when he's pitching at home and when he's pitching well. So I love those two. Probably wouldn't use them together on an 11-game slate. There's a contrarian approach if you think that game which I assume without looking at covers or looking at any sports book, probably it opens at like 6.5 runs, maybe 7.5, right? Like max 7.5
and
runs.
probably close to like just a pick 'em in terms of favorites. Maybe Seattle's a slight home favorite.
Seattle's slight, so it's 7. The implied runs is 7 with Seattle minus 120. So just both of us on like pretty right road right there. I shout out to Michael Waka too in this tier, and just based on he's been good outside that Seattle or St. Louis start, and gets the White Sox, which is a very
averaging 24 fantasy points in 2 games against the White Sox, which includes a loss. 13 innings, just 2 earned runs allowed, 12 strikeouts against the White Sox this year. So if you want to go walkie, you could. Where are you with Chris Bassett? Going up against Detroit here, obviously a couple of rough starts, but he's also had some good starts against some good offenses, managed to hold down Boston and the Yankees in 3 of the last 5 here. Home against Detroit, would you give Chris Bassett a look?
Yeah, Detroit 21st in OPS. They were actually pretty good in ISO against right-handed pitching. 10th. They have a lot of lefties in their lineup, especially like with the additions of Cole Keith. They were in the first half 22nd in WOBA, 24% strikeout rate, essentially 8th highest in baseball. So yeah, 8,100 for Chris Bassett. I feel like we're getting pricing that we did on like opening day. It was like opening day pricing where like it was pretty light. I like this 8K tier a lot, and Chris Bassett's included in
that. Underneath, are we going Logan Webb in course?
We could. I don't have a problem with it.
Brown ball pitcher in Coors Field, you know?
Yeah, he stunk against Toronto, but he's made like 1 bad start this entire season. So Colorado's offense is bad. If you want to attack them with Logan Webb, by all means. If you don't want to play Logan Webb, you can just play Sean Manaea at 7,600, who was our favorite play on the board in that Colorado start. And we were very, very open about that. And he was great.
He gave up like the first inning home run. It's like, really? This is what Tovar leads off the game with a home run. I'm like, and then what we're doing?
And then did you see they sent him back out for the 7th, and Tolia, as they call him, hit a leadoff home run in the 7th, and I was like, no, we're all gonna go? And then I think he struck out the next 3 batters. I was like, okay, it was worth it.
No, but like 9 Ks in that game. I mean,
he was good. And this is another this is like the Spider-Man meme matchup where this is an elite matchup in a great ballpark to pitch in too in Miami. So I think Manaea per dollar, one of my favorite pitchers of the day.
Yeah, no doubt. Last 30 days against lefties, 240 batting average, 295 WOBA, 120 ISO against left-handed pitching for the Miami Marlins. 24.5% strikeout rate, kind of just sitting there at the top 10. So, definitely not as bad as they've been, but not great. Bottom 10 in the league in all categories there. So full on with you there. Working our way down. I mean, I don't know. Is there anybody you're looking to pitch here? Would you give JP Sears a look? I don't know. Like, what are your thoughts?
There's not a lot to necessarily like. John Gray, we know the strikeouts have completely eluded him. There's no ceiling there. Flexen, not a real big ceiling. Edward Cabrera looked pretty bad in that Cincinnati start. Has looked pretty bad overall. JP Sears, I guess there's something there. And we had talked, you had mentioned that Boston start, and you asked on the pre-show, and then I pitched it to Henry on the show, and we were like, John asked me an interesting question about Sears because obviously Boston strikes out a bunch.
They're so bad against lefties.
Dude, the Angels have been really bad against lefties lately. And obviously they just have been a bad team in general. Losing Luis Rengifo has not helped. Brennan Drury came back and he's been a corpse.
Not hitting, yeah.
Taylor Ward is in trade rumors. They're just a disaster. I mean, once again, the Angels just disaster, shocker. But I would go JP Sears. He has very weird games this year, doesn't he? Because he has a lot of these big strikeout games, and then he has 5 or 6 where he just has 1 strikeout. So it's kind of a crazy season.
You want to hear the Angels numbers over the last 30 days against?
I knew they were bad, but yeah, I would love to hear them.
211 Woba, dead last in baseball against left-handed pitching. 074 isolated power against left-handed pitching. Their batting average, dead last, under 200 by 70 points. 139 batting average against left-handed pitching with a 25.5% strikeout rate.
Those are
under 075 ISO and an under 200 batting average for the last 30 days against left-handed pitching. JP Sears is sitting here at $6,300. The Angels are shipping out Griffin Canning. Canning's going out there.
Yep.
Like there's win equity, I think, here for JP Sears in this matchup at $6,300.
Well, especially if the A's keep homering at the rate they've been homering at, there's definitely win equity. So, yeah, I agree. I'm good. I'm all aboard JP Sears at 6,300. I mean, there's a lot to like from a price standpoint here at pitching. Like double dipping into like Mania Sears, you can spend a lot of your salary on bats.
You can get bats for sure. To your point there, Oakland 8th and ISO the last 30 days against right-handed pitchers, 186.
Shout out Lawrence Butler, who we'll get to in it.
I haven't. Again, this is our first look preview, so I haven't really checked out spot check too much of the hitting pricing there. So let's go to catcher. Obviously, again, we look for some of the value and we plug in where we can. Any notable spots for you here?
I mean, I will note that Patrick Bailey's price is $4,700. That's your Coors catcher of the day. Don't love that. Francisco Alvarez, 4,400, gets Edward Cabrera and all the home runs that Edward Cabrera is allowing. So 4,400 for Alvarez, I think, is a very good price. If you're not playing Sears, Logan O'Hoppe has been pretty awesome this year from the catcher spot, almost an 800 OPS.
I think he homered twice off Scherzer.
He did homer twice in a game prior to the break. So I don't know if it was off Scherzer, but it was definitely twice in a game.
Twice versus Texas. He homered twice off Scherzer in that game.
Well, that's not bad. Not bad on the resume. 2,900 for Bo Naylor. I know he's been kind of bad going into the break. Outside of the game that he homered with Josh Naylor, his brother. But Matt Waldron has been unable to get lefties out. So Bo Naylor at 2,900 would be a punt for me.
Sure. First base. Again, we're full slate here, so all the big names are on the board. Where are you looking to spend up?
I mean, if you want to go Ohtani Freeman, either of those names make a lot of sense. So take your pick. Josh Naylor, 5,400, mentioned that Waldron struggles against lefties. Going down the list, Paz Quintino, 4,700. It's a little pricey for me, but it is a good matchup. Flexen struggles with lefties. Lamonte Wade, $4,500. I'm sure you've been chomping at the bit to play Lamonte Wade, but here's your chance to finally get him into your lineup. He'll probably lead off for the Giants in Coors Field, so 4,500 for Wade is a pretty good price. I mean, when we start getting like the four, here's something interesting out of break. Alec Burleson, first base outfield eligible now, which I think adds a little bit of intrigue to the Cardinals. But if you want to play Burleson, he has once again gone on an insane stretch of baseball. So 4,100 for Alec Burleson against Schwellenbach.
Burleson's been insane. So yeah, if that game plays, obviously again we don't know the severity of any sort of weather that may come out of that, but fully on board with you there. Are you a believer in Ben Rice?
I mean, he hits a lot of home runs. He reaches base a lot. Like he walks a lot. But everything, it's been like very home run or bust for Ben Rice. Yeah. Obviously 3 home runs in one game. It has inflated his numbers as well. So he's going to hit probably lead off. So he's going to get pitches to hit if he does.
Okay. Anybody else for you? First base.
I don't see much. I mean, like Seth Brown has first base eligibility, which I think is a little bit interesting. Sure. He doubled on going into the break that last game where they hit like 70 home runs against Philadelphia. Brown had 2, Lawrence Butler had 3. Brent Rooker had 2. So, I mean, if you want to play lefties against Griffin Canning, that's been a sweet spot for us. So Seth Brown, 2,600 at first.
Sure. Let's go on over to second base then. Up at the top, Altuve, Albies, Semien. Not really looking to spend up for them for me personally here. Obviously, Gavin Stone's been good, but where are you at Boston bats in that matchup against him?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm okay getting to Boston. 4,500 for David Hamilton. Like, I would prefer that this game was played in Boston to like full stack, but you mentioned how good they've been against right-handed pitching, so I have no issues getting to Hamilton or the rest of Boston. Don't have a lot of interest personally in this like top tier of second base. I mean, really, Jimenez is probably the first name I'd like really want to get to. Maybe Michael Massey at 42, but not a lot of appeal to me in like 4K and up at
Sure.
those.
Yeah, you mentioned Massey, Horowitz for me. I think it's fine, even though it's against Flaherty. Gorman, a lot of power. Geloff, a lot of power. $3,700 for him. Colt Keith, 3,500 against Bassett. Did you give a look there?
Yeah, I think if we're gonna play anyone, it's obviously gonna be lefties. And Colt Keith is still too cheap, even though they had a week to adjust the pricing.
Sure. Anybody else?
No.
Okay. Third base we go. Jose Ramirez, $6,100. Rafi Devers, $59. Machado, Riley, and Chapman round out your 5K range.
I mean, Ramirez is and Devers stand out of the 5K tier. Obviously, Matt Chapman is going to get some love because they're in cores, but if you want to play any of those guys, by all means do so. Machado is fine. He went into the break like hitting the ball well, but Ramirez has a good spot. Devers has a good spot as long as he's on the field, and Matt Chapman's in core, so I'd be okay with playing any of those guys.
Sure. Mid-tier range. Anybody notable stand out to you? Again, some good pitchers down here, so not necessarily like the greatest of matchups, but anyone specifically you're looking to go?
Nope. No,
I agree with you. I'm just wondering. There's
nothing.
Nothing.
No, nothing.
Any value for you at third base?
I'm looking through like, I'm an Ernie Clement believer. Went into the break with 3 hits. He's been really, really good against right-handed pitching. If you want to play Ernie Clement, I think there's like some merit to getting to him. But other than that, there's really not a lot to like down here.
I'm with you, man. Tough position for value wise, which is good because if we go value pitching, we know where we're spending up. Shortstop, obviously loaded. Witt, Henderson, Lindor, Seager, up over 5K here. You can pretty much pay any of them. I'm not even really scared of the Seager Burns matchup if you want to be contrarian and go against Burns, because I don't think many people will pitch Burns. I don't know if many people will go against him either. So you could get some low roster Rangers here.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested in Seager. We say this all the time. Like, when he is going good, he's like one of the best players in baseball. He just gets hurt in the middle of these stretches. So I'm definitely okay getting to Seager. I'm okay getting to really anybody in the top, like Tovar up, basically.
Yeah, I no arguments here. Mid-tier range, Wins 52, Kim's 41. Sam Raffaello was really hot going into the break. He's got Stone at 4K. Nato was hitting lefties really well, but again, that whole Angels team has been terrible. What are your thoughts on value tier for shortstop?
Yeah, I mean, Nato's fine. Schneemann is okay. Shortstop outfield eligibility just with the lefty bat. He struggled a little bit going into the break. I'm okay getting to Xavier Edwards. The kid from Miami has been really, really good. 405 over his last 10 games heading into the break. 350 on the year now. I mean, look at the multi-hit game for this guy. He has 4 multi-hit games in his last 5. He has 6 multi-hit games over his last 8 games overall. He had 2 stolen bases in that final game in Cincinnati. I'm very intrigued by Xavier Edwards. If you're not playing Manaea, obviously we are interested in Manaea, but if you're not playing him, Xavier Edwards makes a lot of sense.
Agreed. Outfield, again, kind of find your top stack and hit it. Otani, Judge, Soto, Ozuna. Any one of those guys are fine. Your All-Star Game MVP, Jaron Duran, is there at $5,600. Yordan Alvarez is $5,500. What are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I mean, don't worry about it.
Anybody but Kwan?
Yeah.
Or are you still?
I mean, I mean, like, I get it. I get what
When
you're
you have
saying.
all of those names, how do you click Steve Kwan?
I
right?
agree.
Like,
No, yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
very difficult. I get some notes on Trout and Tucker. Maybe they'll be back sooner rather than later. Lewis Roberts 52. Ramos is up at the 52. Makes sense. Get the Coors Field bump there. Brandon Nimmo up over $5,200 as well. Rooker, O'Neill. Thoughts on the lower 5K range?
Yeah, I mean, Luis Roberts definitely interesting. He was heading into the break. I think the biggest thing for Luis Robert is he's running again. I mean, he is running. Yeah, he is running on everybody every time he gets on. Obviously, that's how you know he's healthy. Julio Ramos is very interesting. Control's been good against righties, but good luck keeping the ball in the yard in Coors. Nimmo's been as good as anybody if you want to play Met stack. I think they should garner a lot of ownership. O'Neill's fine. He's better against lefties. It's just hard. Like, Brent Rooker has been so good. And I know, like, it's Brent Rooker and we keep saying that, but, like,
he should have been an all-star.
Dude, he has 21 home runs. Like, he has 21 home runs going into the break. It's
any other season he'd probably be in like MVP conversation, just numbers wise. You know, but
90. Like, I mean, he, like, obviously he strikes out a lot.
Yeah.
That's not great.
Not gonna have a lot of runs, but like he's gonna hit 35, have 100 RBIs, hit almost
probably
300.
10 stolen bases, probably double up his stolen bases too.
And have an OPS almost over 900. I mean, like, those are pretty legit numbers, you know. Like,
agreed.
Just a terrible team, and he's stuck in the middle of it. So
hey, at least they're getting a lot of these prospects are coming up at the same time, and they're actually like playing well. So you know,
probably had some trade value. Do you think they trade Brent Rooker?
If you guys head over to Fantasy Alarm YouTube channel right now and listen to the Caught Stealing podcast with myself and Colby Conway, we actually discussed Brent Rooker on the little trade market there.
I mean, how old is he? He is 29.
30? Yeah, he's not even like 30. He's
arbitration eligible till he's 33. I mean, he's the perfect trade candidate, or the perfect candidate for an Oakland team that doesn't want to pay any money and just go one year with Brent Rooker for the next 4. Jaron Duran, by the way, also stuck in arbitration hell. Not a free agent until 2028. Just going 1 year with Boston. So, you know, the way the MLB takes advantage of their players, man. All right, under 5K. Where are we looking to go?
Under $5,000. We'll salute to
46.
We'll salute to Riley Green, Brett and Doyle, both at 5K. Yeah, Conforto 46 is interesting. He's obviously been better producing lately. Slow start to the year, but 10 RBIs in his last 10 games, 7 extra base hits over that span. So that's obviously good to see. Going down further, if you're not a JP Sears believer, or if you think Kevin Pillar can get it going again, Pillar at 44. He was crushing lefties earlier in the year. He also crushed lefties last year when he was in Atlanta. So that's not just like a this year sample. Taylor Ward also, if you want to just be like super contrarian at 1%, play the Angels just based on how good they were earlier in the year against lefties, you could do that. Sure. Jackson Merrill is probably too cheap at 42. Weiler Abreu's swinging the good bat again.
Yeah.
So those guys.
Curious on how Boston offense translates outside of Boston here. Obviously, they've always been a pretty good. I mean, against right-handed pitching, they've been very good this year. But obviously, they get boosted at home there. So I mentioned Sedan already there. Springer's 4K.
Yep.
Newbar 3,800.
Yeah, I like the lefties against Schwellenbach. Newbar being there just lengthens that lineup more.
Yep. Let's see. Brian De La Cruz hits lefties pretty well. If you weren't in on Manae's 37. Yoshida's been hitting the ball really well lately. He's $3,600.
He has, and they moved him up to like third. He hit third the other day. They switched, and I bet you they do that again just with the righty on the mound. They probably move O'Neill down and move Yoshida up to third.
Move him up. Yeah, could see that. Sedmall's 36.
Angel Martinez, 34. The power has been on display a little bit for him. Hit a couple home runs in the last few games leading up to the break. 3,400. Where's my boy at? Lawrence Butler, $3,000. Just click it in. Just click it in. Just click it in. Like, dude, he's leading off.
3 homers.
Dude, they led him off. I played him on this day, and I messaged you and Mark, and I said, imagine not having Lawrence Butler in your lineup on that day. But it's like, aside from that, like, he's been legitimately good for like a few weeks. So, and obviously 3 home runs, 6 RBIs obviously helps the numbers look pretty good. But like, he is, I don't know if he's going to lead off at $3,000 against a guy who can't pitch against lefties. Why? Give me a reason not to play Lawrence Butler.
Lefties against Griffin Canning, 517 slug, 370 WOBA. He's allowing against lefties 1.9 homers per 9. So definitely not like great numbers by any.
Give me a reason not to play him. Give me a
imagination there. I'm with you. Lawrence Butler at 3K makes a lot of sense in lineups. Any additional value plays for you down here? Probably we'll find some when the lineups come out, but
I don't know if there's anything standing out as of this recording.
We'll start with Butler. And Brown.
Yep, agreed.
And what's the next play?
Butler, Brown, Mania. I mean, or Sears would probably be like make the most sense for SP2.
I'm going Mania. Yeah, great price tag on him. $4,400 for a catcher and rest of position. I mean, we're getting a lot of money.
It's a lot of money. What is your take on Coors on this slate?
Again, like I'm very indifferent on
the Giants.
On the Giants. So
yeah, I mean they're like.
I think if I would one off Ramos. I think we would one off Ramos.
I mean they're like not great against right-handed pitching. 23rd in OPS. 24th in ISO.
Even Ramos, I think, is way better against lefties, right?
He is insanely good against lefties, yeah.
Let's see. Worst lefties this year. Actually, he's been good against everybody. He is just.
He's been good against everyone, but he earlier in the year he had like a 1,300 OPS against left-handed pitching.
Yeah, right. He's very good against lefties. 411 batting average against lefties.
I mean, that's absurd.
Righty is up to 260 and his ISO's 163. So like not terrible, but I mean if you're gonna play anybody in San Francisco, it would be him, right?
It would, yes.
But again, I said to you, I didn't think San Francisco was really that exciting of a team.
They're not.
Is Wilmer, and you could play Wilmer, but like Quantrill's even been like okay.
He's been good against really good against righties. He has a big ground ball rate too, so it's hard to like really love that spot.
Do you want to go Burleson here?
Yes. What was the position? I think third was our position that we'd probably have to spend up on because I think everything below 4K was not something we wanted to play. I think it's Ramirez, Devers. Or if you wanted maybe Chapman, you do take a shot on because he just hits home runs. But it's like that's Devers or Ramirez Ramirez has obviously been worse against righties, but Waldron's been bad against lefties.
Yeah, let's see Stone. I mean, the thing is, Stone's been good. The Red Sox offense has been insane though against right-handed pitching lately.
Yes, they have. Sure.
Let's see. Last year we used lefties a lot against Stone. This year he's been good. The problem is like he's just been good, so like none of the numbers are great, right? So, he's not giving him any home runs.
No.
So, what do you bet on? Do you bet on the Boston offense? Or you bet on Ramirez as the singular player here?
Let's bet on the Boston offense. I think the Boston offense is the better bet.
We'll go Devers then here. Second base again was a position we didn't really like have a ton of value. Do you just go Gorman and maybe stack Burleson Gorman here? Or
I'm good.
Keith, 35?
Yeah, Colt Keith. If we won off a Tiger, it would be Colt Keith for me.
I'm fine with that. Let's get our value catcher plugged in here.
Probably Naylor at 29.
Yeah, that's fine. 4,800 shortstop and 3 outfielders.
That feels good. That feels so good. And
It's
I mean,
Whitford
any of those.
Flexen.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
And then let's see.
Or honestly, if you wanted to go gunner too, well, either one of those shortstops are as good as it gets. Gunner, John Gray cannot miss bats. That's really terrifying against Baltimore.
4,200 a play here.
What was Did we talk about Kerstad? Is he?
He's on the IL
because the head? Oh,
they hit him. Yeah.
Yeah.
That
was the beef.
Yoshida. Let's go Yoshida then. Yeah.
36. Does that get us Santander, and then we could double up Baltimore, Gunner, and Santander?
Yep.
Love it when a plan comes together.
It does. Brown, Minaya, Naylor, Burleson, Keith, Devers, Henderson, Butler, Yoshida, and Santander. Their example lineup for everybody. Again, Henry and Grande will be on your live show at 5 p.m. Eastern time. Be on the lookout for that. Grande's playbook will be out as well. Find us on Twitter, get in the Discord if you have any questions. We appreciate you all watching in. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. Free way to support the work we're doing here over at Fantasy Alarm. If you want to become a Fantasy Alarm member, now is your time to do it. First month for less than $20, you get access to the Fantasy Alarm draft guide and cheat sheet for fantasy football. Get access to all premium betting content, seasonal content, and DFS content for all sports as well. And you get that first month for less than $20. Go to fantasyalarm.com/win. Scan the QR code there on the screen. Use promo code Let's Go at checkout. Become a member of the Fantasy Alarm family. Good luck, everybody. Till then, we'll catch you all later.